God is moving. It's Young People Nation.
Welcome to Young People Nation. Listen to us weekly as we commit to bring transparency, healing, and truth to the everyday situations in life that might bring you down. Join us for your weekly dose of inspiration. Thank you for listening to Young People Nation. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And now, here's your host, Eugene and Donna Perry.
Let's go. Christ is the foundation. Know his word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth. Giving guidance to the lost. Give the world to the project. Lead them back to the cross.
Welcome back to Young People Nation. Thank you so much for listening. And whenever you're listening, again, thank you. And thank you to our many sponsors and to our supporters. We are so grateful for the community and all that you do to help us to spread the word about mental health. We're just a portion of what the community is doing, and we just want to tell you all thank you so much. We are in session 3, and the mental health journey with Mr. Jonathan Barnes. And in session 3, we're going to talk about dealing with built-up trauma as a teenager. Now, Mr. Jonathan Barnes, again, he's a storyteller through his music. He can write music, and he just writes. So he writes out how he is feeling. And it's good. You got to listen to the words. He is a future businessman, an entrepreneur. He's a revolutionary at heart. He is a great work in progress, just like all of us. So that's why on this platform it's a no judgment zone, because no one can point at no one, because we all are a work in progress. But most of all, what I love about Jonathan's a God-fearing man, and Jonathan believes in God. And John wants to see the community grow. He wants to see adults, young adults, youth all around him grow. So he likes growth. Welcome back, Jonathan Barnes.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It is a gift to be able to tap into a gift. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, again, we're going to be talking about dealing with built-up trauma as a teenager. Now, we talked about the 3 to 6-year-old, the 9 to 12-year-old, Jonathan. So your music and poetry writing, let's talk about that part of you.
Yes, ma'am. In reference to my music and poetry writing, I got interested and started working within that realm of my life. Late elementary school, so probably around like 10 type area. That's when I first noticed that music was a good outlet for me. So I always kept up with it. And the farther I got into life, the more trials I was faced with. So that meant more music I could write, as a use of getting out that energy or venting through my music. Mm-hmm. And it was just a help. It was a very big help and outlet for me.
So that was a form of therapy, because at this point,
ma'am.
You had not been to a therapist.
Correct.
In your process.
Correct.
So talk about how it relaxed you, and again, it was a form of therapy for you.
Yes, ma'am. A lot of times your mind can cloud your current day, whatever it might be that you're in the middle of. Just like sometimes we might drive down the road and start getting tunnel vision because our minds wandered off. Mm-hmm. You lose track of the fact, man, I'm on the road. I'm about to run into this car or run into this truck. Mm-hmm. But your mind is always going and working. So when you have a lot of trauma or other things that can easily take your mind way far off left, you need something that can be, like I said, an outlet, or like you said, a good source of therapy. And that's definitely where the music came in for me. Not having someone to speak to about a lot of those traumas at the time. You got your book, you got your notebook, definitely.
Would you like to mention a few of your songs that you wrote? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I have one called Everyday Struggle. I have one called The Heart. Mm-hmm. I have a few of my most recent ones where I wouldn't really even say there's much of a name on them.
Okay.
There's some of them that literally have no name because it's my diary, it's my journal,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just writing out my truth. Yeah.
And you know,
and that's one of the main concepts right there that parents have to be aware that trauma can cloud your mind and take you where you don't want to go and keep you there longer than you want to stay.
yes.
And by doing that, you can come into the reality a person's insight and the way they think in that moment of time. And if parents aren't aware of that, you can lose your child literally as you sit there and watch TV.
Wow.
As you driving along to your job, your child is lost because of their thoughts and the trauma that they face. Because I'm sure many concepts today, nobody picture their child going to shoot up a school or come into an area and try to blow themselves up or running their car into a crowd and just run over people because of trauma.
You know, yeah, and just like in the news where you're hearing where a 5-year-old has killed themselves.
Yes.
That's
Definitely.
deep, you
Yeah,
know?
definitely.
And so because of bullying or
Correct.
whatever the violations, anything,
Yep.
there's things that has happened in their life and they were able to say, you know what, I'm out.
Yeah, trauma take many different forms.
And so, Jonathan, with writing, and again, we're going back, you hadn't been to no therapist or anything like that, no diagnosis. The writing gave you a sense of relief because
Yes,
at this
ma'am.
point, the bullying stopped. The community you created, okay, it kind of dispatched a little bit, correct, at this point in your life as a teenager, but all these things that you dealt with prior were stacked up on each other, correct? So in your writing, you were able to release even some of the 3 and 9-year-old Jonathan.
Yes.
Okay. Did you patent that? Because you need to patent that stuff.
I did not.
Because yeah, you need to look into that because words are powerful. You know, we don't. You know, like sometimes I take it. You know, sometimes people feel they can say anything, but you can't.
Right.
Because when you say something, you release such a force that even though you say you're sorry, that it's already gone.
Done. The damage is done.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
done. So now you got to wait for the process of healing.
Exactly.
You know, and you don't get to tell a person how to process,
Right.
especially when you was part of the damage.
Exactly.
Okay, so one thing I noticed about you, you like to bring laughter and watch your surroundings. You're a watcher. I remember you in team ministry. You ain't have a lot to say, but you'll be watching, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you're a person, you're very aware of your surroundings, but you like to bring laughter and watch your surroundings. You are a huge protector. So whenever that time comes for you to get married, you're going to make an amazing husband because you're in the making right now.
Thank you.
So even with your own personal traumas, talk about that, Jonathan. You was wanting to bring laughter to other people, and you're in that mode of protection.
Yes, ma'am.
However, you have a whole war going on within you.
Right. That Jonathan, who was always wanting to be that confidant or that outlet for others, seen himself, you know, or thought about himself. When you place yourself outside your body and say, okay, what if you were that friend for me? What type of friend would you be? Like if you was able to be a friend for yourself, what friend would you be for yourself, knowing what you're going through? And then think about all of those around you that don't know what you're going through, right? Put it into perspective. They're going through what you're going through times 10. Like how they got that saying, there's always someone going through worse. That's true enough. There's always someone somewhere on this big world that's going through worse. So I keep the self-centeredness out, and I just involve myself more in what other people might be going through. So I'd figure if I'm a class clown right now, whoever it is that's so deep and lost in their thoughts, this funny moment is going to be able to snap them out of it, at least for the moment.
Okay.
You know, and prayerfully, whatever I did was so funny and crazy enough that hours down the line when you're outside of school, you look back at that moment, dang, that man John, you know, he did something very funny, man. That's a good guy. Or you might look back at it years down the line. Right now, there's someone that could be talking about a funny moment I did,
Yes.
you know, way back just to alleviate those stresses and get you out of your own mind.
Yes.
Way back then when we was in class, you know.
Okay.
So that was my only purpose, just giving somebody else a reason to smile. Yeah.
Okay. And hoping that someone would throw the rod at you.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Throw me a line out here. Throw me a
Yeah.
life jacket.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
for sure.
yes,
For
yes,
Got to be real.
yes.
Come on,
and,
man.
And so, wow, I always go back to Robin Williams, who made a lot of people laugh. However, all the money and everybody around him, I'm not going to say no one saw him because I wasn't there. However, he ended it
Yeah.
out of making everybody else laugh. And
Yeah, because nobody took him serious that he had problems because his jokes, his mannerisms took a person from their own reality and brought them joy and brought them a relief, but his own personal relief never extinguished.
And so, therefore, we have to pay attention back to how you are, paying attention to your surroundings.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't know if that's going to be the last time you see that person.
Right.
And I also want to say that Marvin Gaye, when he wrote the album River City Blues, it was about actual the stuff that was happening around, and he put it in his music. And when he transferred it in, it took people from reality to where he was at. And by doing that, it brought a whole concept of, wow, I can relate.
Yes. So that's, man, I would love to hear some of your music because I remember even in the teen ministry
Yes, ma'am.
that you was a music writer. And so, wow, to put that on paper and then you don't know who you're reaching by saying that, to my husband's point. Also, you said something about, someone throwing you the life raft or something.
Life
Say,
raft.
hey, like I'm drowning over
Yeah.
here, guys.
Man,
I'm making
life
everybody
jacket.
else laugh, but hey, I'm drowning. So someone, hello.
Yeah.
Now, you may mention to us about there was one person in the body of Christ that noticed you needed help with anger, and you had from age 3, but this person was able to tap into that with you within 20 minutes of a conversation.
Within the first 3 minutes.
Wow.
Quick like.
Wow.
Quick
So
like.
that was God, and that you fully had that person's attention. Now, how important was that for you at that moment? That outside your normal, because they weren't your normal reach.
Correct.
How important was that for you, and was that kind of a life change for you at that moment?
It was vitally important, and it was a life change because, as I said, all I needed was a jacket.
Okay.
For the most part, I know how to kick my legs and paddle my arms. But once you're out so deep in the ocean, you need something to keep you afloat. Your body gets tired.
Yes.
So
yes.
her having that true actively listening ear and eyes that were able to see, what the soul was feeling, it was vitally important, because not having someone to understand you on that level, or having only people who labeled your hurts, your traumas as anger and as grudges, instead of taking responsibility, honestly, where it should have been taken, it was different, you know, and it felt good knowing that all it took was this person to be able to get, let's say, this other person that is within my immediate reach to be able to see, you know, like as long as somebody was able to get them to see
Yes.
and understand,
Yes.
it made me feel a burden lifted off
Yes.
of my shoulders.
As a teenager.
Correct.
As a teenager. And so a lot of churches now are understanding mental health is important. We see a lot, you know, some things advertised from our church and some other churches we see online that they're saying, hey, you know, okay, God got a lot of ways of helping, so we've got to be open. There's not an absolute when it comes to God.
Right.
You know, you absolutely know he loves you. So that's the absolute of him. However, there are many ways. And so you had a moment right there in the building, and that person was able to reach you. And perhaps no telling, with her tapping into, you said, your soul,
Yes.
that prevented you from doing something else crazy nobody even knew about. You know, because as we've talked about the young Jonathan, there was traumas stacked on top, on
Right.
top, on top. And it's kind of like, okay, you know, if this is how life is going to be, I don't know about that.
Well, let
I'm
me.
not gonna get a jacket and I'm out here in this water tired. You know I'm gonna drown from exhaustion anyways. Might as well go ahead and stop paddling. You know, I ain't
Wow.
gonna be able to make it back to the shore in enough time.
That's a whole message right there.
Yeah.
Let me throw this nugget and hit some adults in the church in the head. The oil flows down; it doesn't flow up. And by that oil coming down, flowing from you to the next person, you have just lifted up a nation.
That's powerful. Now that's powerful right there. The oil flows down. That's even in the
Yes.
household, right?
Yes,
That's from the husband
yes,
on down. That
yes.
Say that again.
Even at the school,
And
the
repeat.
oil flows down. It doesn't flow up.
From the child.
Yep.
Ooh. And so therefore you change a whole nation.
You change a whole nation. A whole nation.
That's a whole word, ain't it?
So how clean, how healthy, how pure is this oil gonna be that you allow to trickle down
Right.
to the next members of your family?
Yes.
You know, and how will it
Yes.
affect them? Will it contaminate their spirits?
Yes.
You know,
You
or will
contam-
it feed their spirits and uplift their spirits?
You
Great
contaminate
question.
the spirit by passing down contaminated oil.
Come on now.
Ooh.
And with that contaminated oil, you have downed a nation.
Yep.
You have downed a whole lifestyle. You have downed a whole concept.
That's a benediction almost right there, right, guys? Okay, well, I'm telling you, I'm grateful that that person was able to reach you. Now we're dealing with a better. You said it felt like the weight had
Right.
came off of you. Wow, that was powerful.
Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't feel as heavy after you finished talking with her.
Correct. Didn't feel as deep in the waters. You know, the life jacket alleviates a lot of weight too, if you think about it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It helps
Yes.
you, has you feeling a little lighter.
Yeah,
Yep.
You know,
yeah.
so
Almost like our
once the-
grandson, he don't want his floaty on no more.
you feel
Yeah.
me? Once I got that jacket, it relieved it.
Wow, that is a whole. I'm gonna use your word vibe.
Man.
But,
That-
but even with that vibe, you know, that life jacket, you floating in the midst of chaos, but with the power and the word, you're above it.
Yep.
Wow. So you just able to come on back in. So
Exactly.
you saw some light. You didn't feel like you was out there in the middle of the sea no more.
Right. Definitely.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So, Jonathan, now, note to parents with their teens going towards young adulthood. Talk about that.
Notes that I could give parents for their teens going towards young adulthood. Protect your children, but don't smother, suffocate your children when sheltering them.
Mm.
You know, you have to allow your children to be out in the world and to go through and experience some of the worldly things, because that will define them and sculpt their adult side. You know, a lot of these experiences. But when you don't even know how to drive because your parents are scared for you to get into a car accident by chance. So you're 18, 19 without a permit, never been behind the wheel in your life. How are you about to get a job, go forth with a job, especially when your parents ain't going to always be here? So, yeah, they probably could have taken you to work your first few years when you were 16 or whatever it could have been. But your parents might unexpectedly pass on. Now, how do you expect your child to be able to hop into your vehicle and go to work the next day when they don't even know this the windshield wipers? You see, how do you expect your child to be able to coexist amongst others? You know, you have to meet new people every day. That's something I talk about. We pass new people every day. There's all these people on this planet we don't know exist.
Yes.
For the longest, I didn't know you exist. I've met you. You know, you're someone in this world that goes through real problems.
Yes.
You know, and has real battles that's being faced. And all this time, all the way up until today, I never knew he existed.
Wow.
Never knew he had to offer the world what he offers.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? He plays a role he plays in whichever.
Major.
Come on now.
Yes.
You see, so when you don't get out into the world and learn how to coexist with people, how to meet and mend bridges, make relationships with people, you end up in the world dang near all alone again. You know, because you're so shut off. You're in this shell to where you don't want to interact, whether it's because you're scared to be bullied again, scared to be hurt, stabbed in your back. You know, that's another thing. Getting out in the world, yeah, you're going to get stabbed in the back a couple times because everybody's not meant to be a friend. Some of these things are for seasons.
Yes.
In which every season there's a lesson, you know. So it's to show you, okay, even though you've been stabbed in the back, be aware of what can come and how people can do you, but don't close off the blessings other people can have to offer.
Yes.
You know?
Because as parents, we're not your absolute.
Definitely. Not at all. So your parents have to allow you to be out in the world, you know, and to understand that you're gonna grow someday.
Yes, and not to impart your fear of towards your children. You know,
let's push
been
in.
there.
Let's push in how early this starts. When that kid is sitting in a high chair and you're trying to feed them, let them pick up the spoon and take the food to their own mouth.
See,
and the maturity starts to grow from that moment. The independence. Because once they're born and able to feed themselves, they can feed a nation.
Wow.
Yep.
I'm glad I listened to my parents when it came to you, dude.
Oh, I am too. Hey, wisdom.
Full of wisdom, yes. And
Wisdom.
both of you, this whole room is full of wisdom. And that's what it's going to take for the community. I tell you, this session 3, has all of them been good, but this one, yes, I recommend people go back and listen to the importance of you being the head or whatever you're the head of. It falls down from you, and it spreads to everyone that's there that you are covering. I don't even use that under. That no, you cover. You put them before you put yourself. All right. So, wow. Okay, we're going to give out this 988 hotline, this mental health hotline, because, again, we never know who's listening. 988, again, we have the text for people who don't like dialing, but they like to text. It's 741 is 741. That's free 24 crisis counseling. And, of course, if you just don't know what you need, there's a mental health hotline for guidance, crisis, or suicide prevention, and that's 211. Thank you so much again, Jonathan Barnes.
Yes, ma'am.
I tell
pleasure.
you,
Thank
you are a household name that God is going to really use to reach many, because flesh and blood don't download this right here, what you talk about. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Mr. Perry.
Don't go through life with a clouded mind and have the wrong concept, because a clouded man can have no future.
Y'all know what time it is.
And live your life the way
It's Young People Nation.
you want to live
It's Young People Nation.
this life.
It's Young People Nation.
And don't just exist. Discipline Young People Nation. Remember, there is always hope.
Let's go. Christ is the foundation. Know his word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth. Giving guidance to the lost. Give the world to the project. Lead them back to the cross. He the #1 prospect. He the top boss. I was broke, I was empty. He the one that paid the cost. Really thought that I was cool. There was nothing like the Savior. Now it's time for the truth. The whole world been waiting. It's Young People Nation. 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 The whole world been waiting. Whatever you going through, I know what he gonna do. Don't matter the circumstance, we going back to the root. Keep going, keep going. Let that seed keep growing. You need peace and we know it. Now it's time to live holy. Young People Nation. You know what time it is. Young People Nation. Get ready, the time is here. Get ready, we vibing here. We about to let God in here. Young People Nation. It's Young People Nation. Yeah, do it for the heavens, you know where we going. Influenced by his love, you know we gotta show it. It's time to put the youth onto what God is doing. Cause I can tell you now, right now, that God is moving. It's Young People Nation.